Hello and welcome to Speak Up, the sustainability podcast hosted by Apparel. We take a step behind the scenes of organisations large and small to discover their journey towards sustainability, highlighting their challenges, triumphs and plans for the future. And often we have some very special guests representing, other organisations and also representing themselves in the work that they're doing. Today's very, very special guest has had an absolutely fascinating sustainability journey that we can't wait to share with you. Some of you may know her as the brand power lady. Some of you will be familiar that Sally Williams has been on, with us here at Apparel, joining us on the journey for the last 2 years, and I'm very, very excited to be sitting here today with Sally. So how are you going, Sally?
I'm fantastic, thanks, Michael. And it has been a great journey, hasn't it? I mean, I've got a wonderful story to tell, but my gosh, it's been so wonderful for the last, say, 3 years, watching your brand and your business evolve and grow and spread out and make such an impact.
Well, we're making a pretty awesome impact.
You
but
are.
We're driven by advocates and people, having people like yourself endorse and support us and kind of continue to encourage everything that we do. Definitely feeds us and think what we do next. But this is not about us.
It kind of, it's a bit of all of us, isn't it?
It is. I think, our listeners have probably heard enough with me and Tina talking for a while, but I really want to start off by diving into your career journey because a lot has changed. You spent 25 years with Brand Power.
I did.
Tell us about Brand Power and your journey there.
Well, Brand Power helping you buy better, helping you buy better.
Oh, perfect.
There it is. I started with Brand Power because I was a presenter in the industry. So I was working for companies like Telstra, Jet Set Travel. I was doing a lot of presenting work and advertising for them. And then I moved into Brand Power when it first started. So Brand Power was originally a letterbox drop. You remember those? The ones that,
Yep, letterboxes.
Remember those letterboxes and
before
brochures?
Inboxes?
Yes, letterboxes with a little brochure that comes in. We still see them now, junk mail basically.
Yes.
And it was facts and value to help you buy better was the catchphrase. And the two guys that created it, Melbourne-based marketing smart guys, been in the business a long time within fast-moving consumer goods, FMCGs.
Yep.
So they decided that they thought this concept would work very well on the television as a TV commercial. So they went to the CEO of Coles at the time and said, look, we're thinking about doing this. What do you think? We want to work with brands and we want to help them reinforce what their brand is about and their product is about and create an advertising platform for them, basically take the brochure to the TV. He said, fabulous, love that idea. It'll work very well. It'll complement mainstream advertising as well. So when brands are doing a big ad for their product, Brand Power would move in and just reiterate the main 3 points. It's this, this and this, helping you buy better. And he said, and by the way, you should use that lady that's on the Ford ads at the moment, because I was doing a Ford campaign for Australia and I did a campaign for them for about 5 years. First lady to advertise cars for Ford ever in the world, actually. How's that?
I did not know about that.
That's
awesome.
It was huge, and it ended up that got taken all around the world.
Wow.
So the marketing guy who's still very much a dear friend of mine now to this day, Brent Gazaniga, he created the concept, pitched that to Ford, and they went with me. And at that stage, I was on television. So the CEO of Coles at the time had seen me on TV a lot.
What's a woman selling a car?
You should use that Ford lady. She's great.
Right.
So they kind of poached me, the guys from Buchanan Group who formulated Brand Power, Brett Kay and Tim Buchanan, very smart guys. And I started doing little ads for them, little test run ads, regional ads.
Okay.
And I guess the rest is history. It took off and now there are 17 Brand Power presenters around the world. Around the world now. Yeah. They've moved on. They've sold it out to, obviously to advertising conglomerates, bought it out, and now it's a big, based in Canada now, Brand Power. But I stepped away 6 years ago because I felt that after 25 years of doing my job, getting paid well, communicating with the consumer, which is what I really love to do. And I've genuinely really loved that job and helping brands do the best they can with their products. I wanted to be able to do more because I could see that I didn't want to be telling, because I had a lot of power. It wasn't just brand power. It was almost sort of Sally power. And people would come up to me and say, you know what, whatever you tell me to buy, I just buy it. I go to the supermarket, remember your ad, and I just buy it because you've told me to. And I thought, gosh, I have a lot of influence.
Absolutely, yeah.
Huge influence there. And I felt, because I was starting to change my own lifestyle around how I lived, and I wanted to live more sustainably. We were living on 13 acres at Bells Beach. We had the chooks and the water tanks, and we were living that sort of lifestyle. We made that big sea change, and I started to realise how important it was that we needed to be more mindful around living more sustainably.
So did you have any control off the products that you promoted?
No. I was under contract.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I literally had to say, whatever you would need me to say. So I was disempowered in one way.
Yep.
And I felt personally that I needed to take the step and empower myself.
So that is enormous to move away from, financial.
Stress! My gosh.
Yeah. It's a big leap.
It was a big leap. It really was so scary.
Did it take you a long time to sit on it and consider, or was it just hit home one day and it was, let's do this?
It took a while. To be honest with you, it did take quite some years. And it started for me because my husband and son, big surfers, living at Bells Beach, we were always surfing and travelling, and every holiday we ever had was always a surf beach. And we used to go to Indonesia a lot, and that's where I used to really see firsthand the rubbish and the consequences of our lack of responsibility around our waste globally. And I could see the impact it was having there in these beautiful, you would imagine pristine beaches, but of course, walking along a beach where you literally couldn't put your foot, couldn't find sand for rubbish. And I saw all the brands in literally in the sand. A lot of them I'd advertised. I thought, oh gosh, what are we doing? This is a collective effort that needs to be done here. And what am I doing as an individual? All I'm doing is driving people to buy this product and this stuff, but I'm not actually doing anything to make a stand and make the brands be more accountable as well.
Yeah, it's. I think we probably felt the same thing where the real trigger for us was also seeing that textiles ended up in waste, ended up in landfill, and it was about doing something. And it was, we can't take responsibility for this, and we can't, be proud, and walk away saying we achieved all of these things, but we left the planet in a pretty shitty state. And it was the trigger for us, and clearly the driver for yourself as well.
Very much the driver.
So you went from brand power lady.
For a while, I actually was working with a business coach for a while, and I said to him, I really want to move into some sort of green advertising, whether I create my own agency, my own platform. And that was 8 years before I made the move away from brand power. So I'd been thinking about that for a long time in answer to your question before. It took me quite a while, but, I'm a mum. I was going through a big life change in my life at the time because my marriage broke down. So I had twins. So I had to take responsibility, and I had to keep earning money. Literally had to keep everybody together, and I wanted to focus on my children and making sure everyone was good. And so I did that. And at the end of that, I thought, well, right, now is my time to make the move. And that's when I just decided, I went to the guys and said, look, I really want to step away from brand power. Could you please replace me there? And can we start a platform together, more of a green platform to help people buy even better?
Yes.
And they just said, look, it's not the right time in life, and there's no money in it, basically is what they said.
And so when was that?
That was 8 years ago.
Okay.
And because sustainability, it wasn't a thing then.
Yes, it wasn't as a hot topic as it is today.
No.
And there wasn't as much awareness or education around it. And today, we know decisions are being made with sustainability first. So you move from brand power lady to sustainable Sally.
And that happened because dear, beautiful, wonderful Dennis Walter, who's a dear friend of mine who I used to work with at Channel 9 way back when I used to host some morning shows there too. So I knew Den, and he asked me to come onto his radio afternoon program, Afternoons with Dennis on 3AW. And I said, I'd love to, but only if I can speak about sustainable practices, because that's where I'm moving now. So he generously gave me that platform, and I was able to really link the consumer and the listener to a lot of initiatives that were out there, working with Sustainability Victoria and just wonderful brands like Pony Up for Good that do e-waste and paintback companies and all sorts of apparel.
Yep.
So I was able to have my own little afternoon program. And he used to get very tongue-tied introducing Sally Williams and sustainability. And in the end, he just went, Sustainable Sally.
Oh.
And that's how it landed. Thank you, Den. And I said to him one day on air, gee, I love that actually. I think I might run with it. And I did. So that's how Sustainable Sally started. And from there, I started, my first client really was Supercart shopping trolleys, which are supermarket shopping trolleys, which are made out of recycled HDPE, which is fabulous. So our milk bottles basically, our plastic milk bottles, are now that they use those, that plastic, and they make the trolleys. And now they're in Woolies, Coles are starting to use them, IGAs, and it's a great success story. But what a perfect product, what a perfect first client for Sustainable Sally.
Absolutely. And so it's obviously, so was Sustainable Sally born on sharing consumer brands that you were, supporting in love with? Was it based on sustainability practices that you had, found yourself living and over the years, or over time and moving into, or?
It was really more a platform that I wanted to make myself available to be really the conduit between B2B and B2C, so business to business and to the consumer, because that's what I do. I link the two. If you've got a wonderful practice and you need that communicated either to another business, because I do a lot of B2B, obviously, but also to the consumer, then let me be that voice. Let me be the one that educates whoever needs educating around sustainability, and that can be very broad, and it is. And
who better than someone who's got 25 years experience selling products to, and promoting products to consumers. So obviously, the trolleys to a number of organisations. Tell us one that really stands out for you over the last few years. That's really there, and obviously not apparel, thank you.
Because we've spoken enough about
apparel.
But I absolutely do love you guys, and we do go back a long way. Well, there are quite a few. I'm actually an ambassador and work closely under contract with Martog and Company. They are a plastics recycling company. So they work with recycled PET.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's great to see what they do. They basically process it and they send it out to manufacturers who then make plastic packaging for, say, when you go and buy your berries, your strawberries, your blueberries, that packaging, the recycled PET, you can see it on the back of the pack. They work very closely with local Australian manufacturers. So I love that. Because
is all that onshore?
Yeah.
It's all Australian onshore.
Isn't it great?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so they're a business that have been here for about 75 years, established in the plastics industry. So they're very strongly committed to working with sustainable, obviously, resins. And they've had me on board, and we did a closed loop series of 3 videos sort of explaining their business, but also really talking to the consumer as well as the businesses out there to encourage to buy recycled, basically. We need industry to buy recycled and use recycled materials. You know this very well with what you're doing here. So this is what Martog are all about. So I'm closely involved with them, and it's fabulous. I just love what they're doing, and we love to encourage more Australian, we need to keep it onshore. We need to keep it here in Australia, and that's what they're all for as well. So lovely to be working with that particular initiative. I work with Pony Up for Good, so that's e-waste. So Pony Up for Good, another Australian initiative, and it's been established for quite some time, and I've known them from the beginning of Sustainable Sally, and I've just done a video with them. They work with businesses, big companies that and take control. They take their e-waste back, obviously disassemble it, make sure it's not going to landfill. At the end of the day, it's keeping waste out of landfill. So that's one company.
I love the with the e-waste stuff. It's been really interesting to see over the years government really start to get involved. Incorporate and launch levies on ensuring that e-waste doesn't end up in landfill.
Yes.
And so when you have some of that there, it really starts to get people going, shit, we can't put this in the bin. It costs money. It's not right. But it's really government starting to, endorse and see the size of the problem, which, hello government, if you're listening, textile waste.
Yes.
And so you've got organisations like Pony Up for Good who are partnering up with big brands, big organisations who consume a lot of e-waste, supporting them
and need
on
to
their
turn them
journey.
over
Yeah, exactly
very
right.
regularly.
It's part of the world that we live in. It's really exciting to see people like Pony Up for Good, achieving all the success that they are at the moment.
Oh, they're going great guns. So it's been a real buzz for me.
Can I take you back just to, obviously I've got three children who go through a lot of berries, strawberries, blueberries, and every type of berry that there is. With Martog and them, we're talking about an organisation that's been around for 75 years. They have changed.
Yes. And grown.
Yeah, and grown. And can you share any insight into their culture or their ethos and values? That's you have a real challenge in the world where we've got people who have been doing what they've been doing for a very, very long time. They don't change the way they do things because the formula works. With Martog, what's really driven, both commercially, environmentally, what's really driven the change to go, let's focus on recycled plastic, incorporating that into the product design?
I think it's a mindset, like it is for all of us. They realise the value. Of course, first and foremost, they realise the value in plastic and the resins. And plastic's not a dirty word at all. But the important thing about plastic is that it can and should be, and now is being recycled. There's the value in that. So they saw that there was a huge problem, and they honestly, their own mindset from their own hearts said, we've got to do something about this. We choose to do something about this. So then they made the big step of expanding, as you have, made sure they got all the right machinery in, the vacuumeters that process the resins, the money and investment that they have decided to put into their business to grow and expand to service recycling resins is huge. But it comes down to a desire to want to do it better and to take responsibility to help basically all of us work more towards a circular economy. So they made that step. Yeah,
I think it's important, and we speak about it a lot. Having purpose as well aligned to profit.
Yes.
So it's being purposeful for a profit.
And why not? There is money in sustainability. There's money to be made. Yep. It is a business.
And that's a wrap. There is money in sustainability. I absolutely agree. And that's people seeing plastic as a resource.
Yes.
And seeing it as a resource.
And the value in it.
Correct. And I think the more products that we begin to see as a resource, not as waste, really starts to change that mindset. And that's probably where we're at, in our journey. And just as consumers in our journey, we're starting to see waste, or we're starting to see resource out of that.
That's right.
Everything.
And part of my role here is to help the consumer understand that and to make sure that they apply it to their daily practices. So with, for example, plastics, it is really important to check the pack to see if it's recyclable and then dispose of it responsibly and accordingly, depending on what your council regulations are. Because if we can't get that resin and plastic back into the recycling system and back to Martog, for example, then it goes to landfill and it is a waste, and that resource ends there.
Yep.
And that is not being resourceful at all. And so we do rely heavily on consumer behaviour and confidence. I know the consumer's not very confident when they come to their bins. Should I, would I, is it worth it, But I say to everybody who's listening, it is absolutely worth it.
And so you're in the media, you're driving, you're sharing a different message than what you were, with a different purpose than what you were 8 years ago.
Yes.
Tell us about the shift in that, and is there more of a demand? Obviously, I know, but is there a greater demand for that sustainability, message in mainstream media?
Yes, yeah, we need to educate the consumer, and I think the consumer is incredible in that they are so willing, and you would have seen this too. They all want to do their best, and they all want to do their bit, but they just want to be told how. And can we just be told in 3 words and make it really simple for us, because we're busy, and I get that. So I can see that there is a shift, but we've got to be able to communicate. So we've got all these wonderful initiatives out there, but it's educating the consumer and businesses to know what to do and when. one perfect example, I guess, is the Red Cycle campaign, the Return to Store, with the soft plastics. So I've been working, there's an Australasian recycling label that is now on a lot of our supermarket products now, our packs. And it's a wonderful label, and it clearly states the lid will go into the bin, the soft plastics packet, the outer packet will go back to store, return to store, and something else might have to go to landfill. But at least it's showing you very clearly what it is. I've spent a lot of time, I'm working hopefully with them soon. I'm sort of building a relationship with them because Planet Ark are very involved in this and they do a fabulous job, Planet Ark. But I really would like, I do my own little survey with the consumer, and a lot don't know what to do, and they don't even know it's the label's actually on the pack. They don't look for it. They don't know to look for it. And then they don't really apply it. They're all a bit confused. And what's this return to store red cycle bin, you know? So I think we need to step in there, and that's what I'm working on at the moment, trying to be that communicator to help the consumer.
It's interesting because, you know, we've probably seen it on our end. There's awareness, and then there's education, and it's hard. And then there's action. And then there's action, and it's very it's you know, definitely, you know, a process to go through. And, you know, it's quite challenging based on, you know, you only have a few seconds to let people know of how to do this and why are you doing it and what happens with it.
And they want to trust it.
And they do want to trust. And I think, you know, that's where, you know, absolute, you know, transparency comes.
Is key.
Yeah, is key. You know, we've had, you know, numerous partners over the years. You know, we support the construction industry, and so you know, they go through a fair bit of uniforms, and they've said, "Hang on, you guys are doing shoes, you're doing clothes. What about hard hats?" And so for us, and you know, whilst we don't, you know,
is there a high turnover on hard hats?
Absolutely, there's an enormous turnover. So it goes by site, right? Because a lot of it is branded. So when you go onto site X to work on it, you know, construction project A, it says construction project A, and then that hard hat is left behind sometimes, and you're off to a new construction project, or the integrity of the hat is impacted. So they actually, it's quite a large turnover.
Gee, right, okay, because they look like they're made to last.
They are made to last, and they're actually made from quite a decent, very strong material that can be recycled. The challenge becomes about the hard hat can be recycled, but the inner Velcro and the inner lining cannot be recycled. So it's the first time that we've actually had to speak to people and say, we can support with the hard hats, but we actually can't do anything with the inner lining off that hard hat. So we've had to, you know, previously we've just said, no, if we can't do 100% out of landfill, we won't do it. But this is the first time we've gone, okay, well, we have to support some of our partners here who want to do the right thing. There obviously is a solution, but it means that, you know, part of it won't go into that. So we've had to communicate that and just be very transparent on.
Yeah, well, you're talking the packaging industry. This is the problem, you know, with the MRFs. How do we get a pack and, you know, we've got that, and that, the three components to a pack. How do we recycle it, or how do we divide it up? It's a huge problem. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and so it's, I think that, you know, the Australasian standards and what they're now releasing around this goes here, this goes there. I've seen a lot of it recently, and I think it's great. It's, you know, it's a lot more transparent. You can see it, and you know, you can make a decision if you want to based on whether you want, you know, what level of recyclability you want in that item. And
you can make the choice at the shelf,
correct,
whether you buy it or not.
Right.
You know, and I think a lot of people are wanting to make sure that, because as far as I'm concerned, we are a consumer, and as a consumer, we buy a product in the supermarket, we're also buying and taking responsibility for the packaging. It is actually on us. And I know I can hear a lot of people going, well, that's not really fair. But it is actually. If we choose to go into the supermarket, we choose to buy that product, then we need to be aware. And so the brands are all doing amazing job these days. A lot of the brands are really, and you're dealing with companies too, that just want to do it better. They actually do want to take responsibility. And we're all making great steps now to work towards, you know, making it as circular as possible. And I think that's fabulous.
I think, you know, from our perspective, I'm not too sure when this podcast will launch, but, you know, we've just launched, or we will be launching a, you know, major partnership with Vanish. And, you know,
I think I've advertised for them.
Well, no doubt you have. No doubt you have. I could see that. But, you know, Vanish are on this journey to extend the life of textile items. That's their goal. And then they've gone, you know what, we need to also demonstrate responsibility for end of life, and how can we support in that? And so
that's just wonderful to hear.
You know, so their job is out there. They want to ensure that you get the most wear out of your clothing, before you discard of it.
So by laundering it, you're saying it's going to it's gentle,
correct,
gentle on the fabric. Okay,
so
great.
they're doing all this. There's a lot of investment in R&D, the product itself. In terms of trying to ensure that we have this item for as long as possible. But then they're saying, when you're done with that item for whatever reason it is, we've partnered up with apparel. Let's go out and recycle it, make sure it doesn't end up in landfill. Whereas traditionally they wouldn't even have to take that responsibility.
So how have they partnered up with you? So garments get returned. Is that
so? They've sponsored.
Is that a long answer or a short answer?
No. So there's a number of things, and we would have seen a big campaign launched out of in Melbourne and Sydney. But there's a new website. Make textile waste vanish.com.au.
Great.
Where Vanish is committing to diverting 1 million items from landfill over the next 2 years. So, and they will be supporting and giving people the opportunity to recycle for free over the course of the next 2 years to ensure that they divert the items from landfill. So there's a lot happening there, but that's really, it's a brand saying we need to look at our packaging. We need to ensure that that's recyclable. We need to look at the product and make sure that that's doing what it needs, the purpose it serves, and what else can we do? And so, for us, it's that whole journey, and, we're seeing a lot of brands, and brand partnerships form out of things like that. I'm really interested to hear, what's next for Sally. We have been on an awesome journey over the last couple of years, and we've spoken. You and I have spoken about a lot of opportunity. Tell us about what's next for Sally and Choice for Life.
Yes. Oh gosh, and I've touched on a few of the things that I'm doing. And I'm just before I get into Choice for Life, there's Keep Australia Beautiful, so I'm an ambassador for them, and I do a lot of work emceeing and hosting events. So congresses, I'm actually about to host the Litter Congress up in New South Wales for Keep Australia Beautiful and the New South Wales EPA. So we talk about the best way and practices to keep litter off the street. So that's something that I do on a regular basis with them, and I love that. I'm about to start working for the Queensland Farmers Federation because as far as sustainable agriculture is concerned. So I'm doing a series of webcasts for them, which will be every month for about a year, I think. So my work is really spreading far, and it's...
Are you sleeping much, Sally? I mean, I've been doing this for a few years. You've been on this journey for a long time.
I know. We were talking about what time we get out of bed every day. Yeah. But, getting back to the reason why I've changed my direction is because and honestly, I know that your listeners will really relate to this. When you just get to a stage where you just don't feel like you're satisfied in what you're doing, you're not being productive enough, you're not taking responsibility enough, it's not feeding your soul. You're not working to your true self, your true being, inner being. That's how I felt after 25 years. I became complacent. I was earning great money. I was looking after everybody. It was a job. It was great. I enjoyed it. Everyone was happy. I was professional.
Fun.
It was fun. Gave me a great lifestyle, but it wasn't enough. So I needed to be able to put my 2 feet on the ground in the morning and go, this is what I'm getting out of bed for today. And when I made that change to go from brand power over to sustainable work, the first thought that I had, and the main one, and I still have it, and that's why it's leading me into Choice for Life, is that I actually want to be that person, just like I was for brand power, to talk on behalf of the brands to the consumer and help that consumer make that choice about that product, because they're the ones at the aisle saying, okay, will I buy this? Well, I want them to think, I'm going to buy this actually because I remember Sally telling me that the packaging can be recycled. This is how they're manufacturing this particular product now, and I love their code of ethics. I love the moral and value of this product and this company and this brand. So I'm going to follow them because Sal told me to. So that's why over COVID, because we were all locked down and wondering what to do with ourselves, even though I was quite busy, I must admit, and thank you everybody, I created Choice for Life. I thought, what am I going to do? How do I create a platform like Brand Power? So Choice for Life is just that. So when you're buying this product, you're making a choice for life. And it's not a choice, it's the choice for the life of the planet. And it's a choice for life, hoping that because this product will then become a staple in your pantry, because it's a better choice to make. So that's why I've created it. So I launched it, I did a soft launch last year, and I'm just about to get my teeth into it again to do a relaunch and reach out to the brands, because I really want to be that person. So it's a bit like brand power, really. It just pretty much is the same thing. So brands can come on board and work with me that way, and I can deliver the information they need around their sustainable practice to the consumer that way.
Well, I don't know, when we first met, it was, Tina and I had launched the recycling of socks. It was,
yes,
I think it was warehouse number 1.
Still got some of those socks.
Yeah. And here we are, in facility number 4 since then with New Zealand, having launched a couple of months ago. And you have been a massive advocate of ours and an enormous motivator for us to do more and more. I think what we're talking about with Choice for Life and with all the brands and all the work that you're doing today, it's definitely there's a very proud Sally.
Yes,
feeds
my soul.
I love it. I think it's awesome. I think we do, and we love having you around. It's absolutely satisfying, and I think you've had a real platform to promote and share product, and today, you're doing that with absolute satisfaction. I'm sure going home proud.
Yeah, and I meet the most amazing people, as you would too. I love working in this sector, the sustainable sector. Everybody's just got a different attitude. It's beyond the you. It's not about us.
Yeah,
it's a bigger vision, and we are working collectively. And I just think that's such a great way to live life in general.
Yeah, and it's got,
isn't it?
Yeah, and when you're around people, I think encourage and surrounding yourself with impactful people who are out there to make a difference and do something. The satisfaction in that significantly outweighs the financials.
Oh yeah,
and everything that comes with it.
Yes,
but. I think most importantly, as we like to speak, sustainability does equal success, and it equals environmental success, cultural success, change of mindset, and it does equal financial success as well, and
as well as personal.
The more and more we see of that, the greater the impact going to be.
Yes, exactly.
I'm going to ask you, as someone who has lived on a beautiful Bells Beach, has made this massive shift, an enormous shift from brand power to sustainable, Sally, and introducing Choice for Life. What's your key personal Sally tip for sustainability?
It's commitment to change your mindset, and I think that's where it starts. It starts with a state of mind, and it starts with the individual person. So make a choice to make a difference and to make a change, and then apply it a few times, and you'll get into the habit of doing it, and then make that your mantra for life. So live that way. Live not just for ourselves, but live for the planet.
Yep.
And if you think of the planet every time you do something, it will help you change your patterns. And when you get to the bin, you go, oh God, I can't be bothered. Who cares? It's just a bloody plastic bag and whatever. What's just one? No, you'll stop there and go, no, hang on a minute.
Yep.
The planet.
One. Yep.
Why are we doing this? It's right there. It is. That's the core of it. So if that can be, the essence of your, or where you go when you think sustainability, you draw on that, then I think that's my message to everybody. It starts with the individual.
Love it. Thank you so much. So Sally Williams, Sustainable Sally, Choice for Life. Sally, thank you so much for your ongoing support. Thank you for coming out and spending time with us. We look forward to continuing having you support us on our journey. And
always.
We're here to, support you, and, happy to, share anything that you like on any of our platforms, on all the amazing work that you're doing. To our listeners, thank you very much. So that was Sustainable Sally Williams. You can subscribe to our YouTube to get the full Speak Up experience. Follow on Spotify, be notified of new episodes going live. Leave us a friendly review on Apple Podcasts. Maybe let us know how we should have, or who we should have on the next episode. And if you're not already, check us out on Instagram. That's by far the best way for you to engage with us and keep up to date with what we're up to. Thank you very much. And thank you, Sally.
My pleasure.